250 million. We have 250 million date palm trees. And during the conference, we realized that byproduct is a material still having value and it should not be burned. It should not go to landfill, and it should be used for added value and recycled and reused as much as we can experience. Of course, byproducts from dead palm trees or oil palm or sugar palm is still having great value as organic matter from our point of view as agriculture engineers. It has nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And also we experience a great deal of technology applied to make use of this by Palma product. If you allow me to share my screen.
Yes, go ahead, doctor.
Yeah, please. Why I went out. Yes, great. Today, the topic I am going to talk with you today is co-composting date palm tree wastes and its effects on soil fertility. As I mentioned that we are as agriculture people, we are looking for sustainable agriculture, we are looking for sustainable soil, and we know that soil are degraded and huge and great amounts of soil has gone due to the misuse of the soil. Therefore, recycling farm wastes, which is really huge amounts and make a terrible environment and a great economic loss if it is not used. Therefore, my presentation will be showing our experiment in composting date palm trees. Actually, I put my topic co-composting because it is not easy to compost date palm wastes due to its chemical composition. It has like 20+% lignin, it has 40+% of cellulosic material. Therefore, having this material for composting, it will require very, very long time to be degraded by microorganisms. Therefore, I put co-composting to mix it with compostable material like farm animals, like cow manure and chicken manure. My presentation will be including the abstract, introduction, material method, result, discussion, conclusion, and references. As abstract, I'm here sitting in United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi, and in United Arab Emirates we have 42 million date palm trees, and this can create like 500,000 tons of date waste every year if we consider 15 kilogram per mature tree. Therefore, we are trying to compost this material and to enrich it with the chicken manure, which actually having digestibility. Chicken manure is rich in organic matter, is rich in water content, is rich in NPK, and it is biodegradable fast. Therefore, when we are mixing the date palm waste with the chicken manure, we found it is enhancing the process and speeding up the composting maturity. And if you speed up the composting maturity, you mean that you are gaining money. In our experiment, actually, we compare this material with what we call it stable manure or farmyard manure. And farmyard manure is always in all countries is not rich fertilizer, and due to the lack of technology and the lack of processing. The challenge in the farm waste, as we know that some material are dry, some material are having very wide CN ratio and poor in carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Therefore, we're adding these chicken manure in order to make up the composition of starting material in order to speed up the composting process. I like to give some figure regarding one dead palm tree can give 20 to 30 kilogram a year. And we know that there is a 2.5 million hectare of palm trees around the world, and this can generate 15 million tons a year. This biomass is having a value, and we need to be recycled for recycling and the green economics and circular economy advantages. If we look to this picture or slide, we can recognize that there is 3 different categories of farm waste. On the left side, we have a dairy farm and the chicken manure, and those wastes are easy to be composted. On the right side, we have crop residues. Some of crop residues are easy to be done, but when it comes to date leaves or date trunk or date waste, it is really hard to be composted. Therefore, we are combining the easy material and the complex material to have good compostable material. If we look to this slide, we can find a nice date palm farm, and there is an annual generation of waste, and this waste should be handled properly, not to be fired like I see here, not to be burned, and not to be transferred to landfill, because it has economic value. And if we left these wastes in the farm, it can create a lot of disease. Therefore, actually, I am in this business like 40 years now. I got my doctorate in 1991, and I'm in recycling and on organic fertilizer and biofertilizer. And they published several papers on composting, several papers on biochar production, several papers on biogas production from farm waste. Therefore, it is a very wise to convert the farm waste into usable products. The composting process is a biological decomposition of organic waste, and this can take different retention time. Some material can be composted in a month, some material can be composted in 2 months, some material can take longer. And if we speed up the process, it has to be in a shorter time performance. Nowadays, there is a one-day composting process. If you are arranging a proper environmental factor affecting the composting process. As I just mentioned, that this process is controlled by the microbial activity. And if we need to have the high activity in the compost, we have to enrich it with proper C and B. We have to enrich it with high performance microbes. And we have to do the turning in order to adjust the oxygen level and the carbon dioxide level, and to go for a nice end product. The factors affecting compost process is mainly particle size, moisture content, and CN ratio. And for the particle size, ½ inch could be good texture for having good compost process. For the CN ratio, as usual, CN ratio of 30:1 is the optimum carbon to nitrogen ratio in composting process. And if this is wide, then the process will be slow. If this is very narrow, it will create some gases like ammonia, like hydrogen sulfide, and they can make offensive odor. Therefore, my idea for co-composting is to tackle those environmental problems and to speed up the process and to maximize the return and the income from composting process. Actually, in our factory, you can handle 100,000 tons of farm waste in order to produce compost. And this compost were selling locally in Emirates, and we are exporting our product to different countries up to Taiwan in the east. If we recycle the farm waste, we will generate fertilizer, we will make soil conditioning, and we can reduce the chemical fertilizer usage. If we look to this table number 1, we can see from year 1939 up to year 2018, there is a population growth, and we can say it is explosion in population growth from 2 billion up to 7.6 billion, and we're expecting 10 billion in 2050. And those people require a lot of food, and food security is fragile in most of our Arab countries. Therefore, we need to make sustainable agriculture. We need to make something useful for our next generation. Therefore, we can see from the table that chemical fertilizer market is greatly increasing. And this increasing chemical fertilizer, it is harming our soil, it is harming our water, it is harming our environment. And you can see that during these 70 years, the chemical fertilizer demand increasing 30 times for nitrogen, for phosphorus, for potassium. Therefore, recycling the farm waste can reduce the depend on chemical fertilizer and can enhance the productivity, as you will see from our paper. Material and methods. In the material, as I mentioned, that we use dead palm material, and we use chicken manure, and we make 5 treatments. The first treatment was control, which is farmyard manure. The second treatment was chicken manure alone. Third treatment was dead palm trees alone, and mixed dead palm tree with 25% chicken manure. And the last treatment was mixed dead palm tree leaves plus 50% chicken manure. And the following things, if the methods we are using actually, and the produced compost, we apply it in the dead palm farms, and we selected 25 identical dead palm trees, and we use 25 kilograms of each product, and you add it to the soil around the tree, and we take some periodical actually sampling to test for compost and for the end product when we apply it to the soil.
Dr. Mohamed, sorry to disrupt you. We have again 4 minutes, no more than, please.
Okay. This is the initial.
If you'd like to go to result the discussion, it's better.
Yeah, the result and discussion actually. Yeah, this is the 5 treatments actually, and we are evaluating the content of organic matter and the content of nitrogen and CN ratio of the end product. And we can see from this material that farmyard manure is very poor. And when we add material from chicken manure, 50% or 25%, we are enhancing the process and we are adjusting the CN ratio, and we end with nice CN ratio. But for dead palm tree alone cannot stand for proper composting, and we ended with 87% CN ratio, which is not degraded properly, and we cannot use we cannot market this material as end product. Actually, these are the changes happening during the composting of the material. And as a general trend is that we find that, of course, organic matter is degraded and the build-up of humus content. And we can see from table number 3 that the humus content is increasing from 4% to 20% at the end product after 120 days. And when we go to the treatment of dead palm alone, we find that the humus content in the end product is only 10%, which is not degraded properly, and there is no buildup of microbial activity on the quality of the end product. Therefore, here is the end product quality. We can see in the finished compost that the best treatment was mixing dead palm tree with 50% chicken manure, and this is giving us end product with 65% organic matter, 1.8% of nitrogen, and 20% CN ratio, which is a good and mature product, and the humus content is 23%. If it is compared with farmyard manure, it is poor. It has 3.2% humus, and it has 23% of organic matter. Therefore, enriching crop residues with farmyard manure is really very important. When we applied this compost to the soil under dead palm trees, we found that the soil organic matter has increased and the microbial activity has increased. And you can see from these different treatments that number of microorganisms has enhanced 200 times for these enriched and mature compost. This table shows the periodical change of the organic matter content in the soil, and organic matter content in the control is 0.26 at the end of the experiment, and it is doubled actually when we are adding proper compost material. And if we are adding this organic matter to the soil, we are activating the microorganisms and we are activating the biological process and the bio control agent in the soil. This is actually a date palm yield of Nigal crop, 7 years old. And we found that there was increment in the yield by 62% above the control. And all treatments actually surpass the control. And this is also can make extra income for the farm and the farming sector. As a conclusion, I would say that co-composting of plant residue, dead palm leaves and dead palm trunks with animal manure, as example, chicken manure, has positive role in the speed up of composting process and improving end product quality. Bioconversion of farm waste will fix carbon and organic material in the soil and reduce the emission of hydrocarbon gases to air and will protect the environment from greenhouse gases. Since the compost is an environmental friendly organic fertilizer and its usage will reduce the need for chemical fertilizer usage, this will contribute to protect the environment and reduce the fertilization cost and can enhance the organic farming activities. Organic fertilizer play a very important role in enhancing plant growth, and you can see that the crop increased by 62%. Microorganisms are an important component of soil and directly or indirectly influences the soil's health through their beneficial and or dramatical activities, detrimental activities. And finally, I would say that co-composting of farm waste is a key for improving the environment and the economics of the farming project. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Mohamed, for your excellent presentation. We have a lot of information, and I think it will be appreciated by all the participants. Did you have any question for Dr. Mohamed? I think we have one question. Thank you, Prof. Badawi, for your wonderful presentation. My question have to isolate any bacteria that might contribute to the improvement.
Yeah, actually in the composting process, there is a complex biota. There is a huge cellulose decomposer, there is a huge starch decomposer, there is a huge protein decomposer. And I would advise whoever do composting not to isolate a single strain of bacteria or microorganism and to use it in order to have a complex of plant waste, and every plant waste require different bacteria. Therefore, you cannot find a proper inoculum, as we can say, to handle different organic waste. For example, if you are in a chicken manure, you have lignin, you have cellulose, you have starch, you have, and these are different variable content. Therefore, I would do like what I am doing here in my factory, that using the old end product as an inoculum for the new starting material, this is the best and low capital cost process.
Thank you. We have another question from Dr. Ghassan Musa. You can speak. We have opened the
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Mohamed. Thank you very much for your interesting and very useful presentation.
Thank you.
I actually have a question about the collection of the waste. Do you have any problem in that matter?
Of course, actually, the problem with collection, it is bulky material. It is scattered all over the countries. But my advice and my recommendation is not to have this as a centralized factory. This has to be done in each farm. And you have a simple shredder machine or grinding machine, and you have your chicken waste, you have your cow manure, and you can mix these material together. When it comes to a municipality and the big factories, we can collect from a radius of 50 to 70 kilometers with no problem.
Oh, good, good. Can I have another question, please?
Please.
This is the last one.
Okay.
I am sorry.
My question
if you would
is,
like to ask, sorry, if you would like to ask Dr. Mohammed, you can chat in the chat box, please. Okay.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes, Dr. Ghassan, you can ask your last question.
Okay, okay. My question is, of course, if you have a factory in Emirates, and as you said, it's producing all over the world. Now, do you compare your product from technical aspect to what type of standard or what type of data sheet that can guarantee your
Okay, you are talking from Saudi or from where, Mr. Musa?
Saudi, yeah.
Saudi, okay. Actually, every country set a regulation for selling organic fertilizer, and here in Emirates was set the moisture content to 25%, organic matter to 40%, and it has to be free from pathogens and weed seeds. And actually, I told you that I got my doctorate from America, and I have the highest technical actually background in such thing. I have like 55 different products. We have 50% market share in Emirates, and we have also started 2 years back a big farm with our organic farming, and we have a retail. Now, if you go to Carrefour, if you go to Lulu, if you go to Spinnis, you can find 22 products of ours. Our products are comparable to product in Japan, in America. We have humic acid, we have seaweed, we have fish emulsion, we have pellets, we have capacity to produce 200 tons of pellet every day, and we are having 500 tons daily production. It's actually not a simple factory. It is a complex of factories.
Oh, thank you very much. It's very interesting.
Thank you a lot. Thank you,